Hi guys, my name is Crystal. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Now I want to talk about the piece in the newspaper. It's got mentions of Princess Diana in it. First of all, may I add that Princess Diana has been deceased since 1997 and she deserves to rest in peace in a positive manner. She was a woman that did an awful lot for the people, the public, and this comes across as mocking Princess Diana. And because Princess Diana is dead, she can't defend herself. Also, Paul Burrell, Diana's butler, right, who was always by Diana's side, he was her confidant. She said a lot of things to Paul Burrell, which was private. And it just comes across that Diana is being made fun of to me. And obviously, when a piece gets in the paper, money is made from it. And do we really need to bring up Princess Diana to make ourselves a bit of money? Do we? So I obviously get the papers at the weekend. If you'll have to excuse me while I'm trying to read this. Princess Diana was one of my heroines, a woman I admired for being herself and helping people. And the things she went through herself was terrible. And I'm tired of people portraying Diana as a laughing stock when she wasn't. She was a very, very intelligent woman. She carried herself with dignity and elegance, and this is ridiculous. I'm coping with people coming underneath my balcony trying to obscure my voice, stop me speaking, and I'm allowed to have my opinion that I think Paul Burrell is trying to make money out of a woman that has long been dead and should be allowed to rest in peace. So in the Mail on Sunday today, Paul Burrell, is exposing everything. Not for the first time. He's been on television. He's profited from Princess Diana, and he's profiting from Princess Diana now she's dead. More eye-poppingly candid revelations from ex-royal butler's unmissable new book. And how much is he making from that, may I ask? How much is he raking in from the sale of this book? Yesterday, the memoir of Princess Diana's former butler revealed details of a private chat with the late Queen, and the late Queen can't defend herself or speak for herself, can she? Because she is the late Queen. On Charles's marital woes and dark forces at work, today Paul Burrell recalls heartbreaking detail how he brought Diana's body back from Paris. King Charles, as he is now, was upset when Princess Diana died, his wife. He was upset. I'm sure the royal family love this being raked up. School had broken up for the summer of 1997 when Mohammed Al Fayed said to Diana, "Why don't you come out to the south of France with Heine, his wife, and myself and the family? We will get jet skis for the boys and you'll have fun in the sun." Diana accepted the invitation despite never being a great fan of his. Perhaps this shows just how much her divorce the previous year had isolated her. I had watched their relationship develop firsthand. The mega wealthy owner of Harrods was no stranger to the princess, the Queen, or the Spencers, and did not hide the fact that he craved a connection with the royal family. At his Royal Knightsbridge department store, royalty and celebrities met to shop, but beyond the carefully crafted image, there was a darker side to Al Fayed. In 2024, a BBC investigation revealed allegations against him from more than 20 women in relation to decades of serious abuse. The billionaire businessman who died in 2023, aged 94, was accused of multiple counts of rape and attempted rape by women who worked for him, Many felt they were unable to report what had happened until recently. It is thought that the final total of women making allegations might be more than 400. Princess Diana was a victim in his game too. They met in 1986 at a charity polo match at Smith's Lawn in Windsor, and he was dazzled by her beauty. Harrods was only a short drive from Kensington Palace, but it was rare that she could shop without Mr. Al-Fayed popping up beside her. The security guards on each door were adept at notifying him as soon as she or any famous personality entered the store, and seconds later he would appear. The princess found this annoying, as it made her shopping trip feel like a state visit. So she started going to see him on the top floor for about 5 to 10 minutes when she arrived at Harrods, and then he would leave her in peace to go shopping. She didn't want to be alone with him more than she had to be. You've got to bear in mind Diana is deceased. We haven't got Diana's versions of any of Paul Burrell's details. You know what I mean? Diana can't speak for herself, so some of this could be true, some of it couldn't. After one visit, she returned to the car waving a black plastic credit card. "Look what he gave me," she said. "What is it?" I asked. "He told me that it was a limitless Harrods card. I can buy anything with it and there will be no charge." Diana never used the card, though. She preferred to pay her bills, not wanting to be beholden to him. "I don't want to have to return the favour," she said. On another trip to Harrods, she returned to the car red-faced. "You will never guess what Mr. Al-Fayed just said to me," she said. I had absolutely no idea what she was going to tell me. "He said, 'I want you to marry my son.' I told him, 'I don't know your son.' And he said, 'But you will know him and fall in love with him and marry him.'" In fact, Diana had met Dodi Fayed around 4 years earlier when she had shaken his hand unknowingly at the premiere of the film Hook. She couldn't remember the meeting as he had made no impression. She then revealed that Al-Fayed had made an even more shocking statement. "I want you to marry my son because in Egyptian tradition the father goes first. I'm going to sleep with you." Really? "He was twice her age," she said in a shock to me. "Can you imagine me making love to Yoda?" That's what she called him, as he was a doppelganger for the wrinkly green character from Star Wars. In my opinion, Paul Burrell is making a right laughing stock of Diana. I was appalled by his behaviour. He thought that it was his right and that it would actually happen, that he would sleep with the Princess of Wales. That was on her mind throughout the romance with Dodi. On other occasions, she branded Al-Fayed creepy and slimy and complained that he's always putting his hands on me. Oh, really? People probably wondered why she didn't stop seeing him, but after her divorce from Charles, she chose to play along because she said to me that she needed security and he could provide it. Someone's desperate for money, they'll write all sorts of bullshit to get money. I mean, seriously, this piece in the paper must have made Paul Burrell some money, and the book, thousands, using Diana's name in it. Disgraceful. Al-Fayed always intended to matchmake his son with the princess. It was during that trip to the south of France with Diana and the boys that he forced Dodi to pursue the relationship. Really, he forced his son? Really, seriously? Can you see somebody forcing somebody to do something? He was already engaged to the American model Kelly Fisher, but his father said to him, "You are going to marry Diana. Tell Kelly whatever you want, but you need to invite Diana back after she's taken the boys back to England. Bear in mind, Dodi's dead, Al-Fayed's dead, Diana's dead. This is all hearsay coming from Paul Burrell's mouth, with no backup from anybody else." His son and heir to the Harrods Empire had to obey his father. If only Diana had trusted her instincts that Al Fayed was creepy and stayed away from him, then maybe she would still be here today. I don't think that she would have been surprised by the recent allegations against him because he propositioned her, the mother of the future king. I think William and Harry won't be pleased with this. If she could, I think she would stand by his victims and say, well, it could have happened to me. It didn't. Thank God, but I'll be with you all the way. I wish she was here to do that. History has been rewritten by many to make the romance between Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed seem like a great love affair, but this was not the case. They were together for just a month. The actual romance really only lasted 2 weeks. At the end of her holiday, she rang me and said she was going to be a day late coming home. Dodi had some business for his father in Paris. She asked me to phone Balmoral, where her sons were staying, and tell them. That final call and her last words still haunt me. Promise me you will be there, Paul, she said. Go on, say it. I want to hear you say it. So I did. If it makes you feel any better, I promise that I will be there. She took a deep breath and said, night, night, Perky Paul. Oh my God. Then she hung up. When I saw the footage of her in the lift at the Ritz Hotel with Dodi, I realised that she was going out late at night reluctantly. I knew her body language. She stood there with her back to the wall. I could sense that she was thinking, have I got to do this? She was ushered through the back door to avoid the paparazzi and into a car where she didn't put her seatbelt on. That has always puzzled me, as every time she got into a car, whether driving or as a passenger, I would follow her and stretch the seatbelt over her and be inches away from her face. So close that I could smell the Hermes perfume. Hermes. She always wore her seatbelt. Then she was gone into the night and life would never be the same again. Well, he's writing this like a fairy tale. Ew, I sniffed her perfume. I was right up against her face. Wow. Everyone of my generation remembers where they were and what they were doing on that Sunday morning, August 31st, 1997. It felt like the world had stopped spinning. At around 2 a.m, we heard that Diana had been in a road traffic accident and had been injured. We were told that she had sustained a broken arm, possibly a fractured pelvis, but nothing more serious. The best thing I could do, I thought, was to be in Paris to take care of her. The first flight to the French capital was booked. Within the hour, there was a second call as the staff waited anxiously in the office at Kensington Palace. It was serious. Dodi was dead, and the princess had suffered severe injuries. I went to a dressing room and collected a nightdress, a dressing gown, underwear, her wash bag, lipstick and powder, and as I passed by a dressing table, I grabbed a recent photo of the boys to sit on a bedside table in hospital. I went home and put a suit on, ready for the journey to Paris. I returned to the office by 4 a.m. with my bag and her bag and met up with Colin Tebbott, the princess's driver, who was coming too. As we waited to leave, Diana's PA, Jackie Allen, approached me, took my hands in hers and said, "Sit down, Paul. I have something very difficult to tell you." The penny still hadn't dropped. I hadn't thought the unthinkable. I'm afraid that the princess is dead. Did you hear me, Paul? She repeated the word dead. She had been pronounced dead at 3 a.m. British time, 4 a.m. French time after failing to survive emergency surgery. Jackie began to cry. I realised it was true, but my emotions hadn't surfaced yet. Even more reason for me to be in Paris, I said. I will need to get there to protect her, keep her safe, and look after her in death the way I did in life. So he looked after her in death as he did in life. And that's Diana, and apparently she compared Al Fayed to Yoda. Our British Airways flight touched down in Paris, and Colin and I were met by the ashen-faced British ambassador ambassador, Sir Michael J., after he had been ushered by the kind crew from the plane. At the British Embassy, the ambassador's wife, Sylvia, took my hand and asked if there was anything I needed. Do you have a full-length evening dress, possibly black, that I could borrow? I asked. I have no clothing. I assumed the princess would have no clothing with her that would be suitable, and she would need something dignified for a journey home. She led me into her dressing room and opened a large wardrobe. This one, I said. It was an elegant black three-quarter length cocktail dress, perfect, and some black shoes. I had no idea whether she was even the same size as the princess. I was just thinking off the top of my head, these will do. A princess in somebody else's clothes. Wonderful. He drove to the Petit Salpêtrière Hospital. As I entered the 8-story building, Lady J., who had seen the princess in the early hours, squeezed my hand and said, "Be brave." I spoke to the paramedics who had attended the accident at 1:18 a.m. They told me that Diana was alive but critical when they reached her. They said that her finals were, "Oh my God, what just happened?" Together, Colin and I entered the sunlit room where she lay. The large curtains on one side had no curtains, which alarmed Colin, who immediately called for paper, which he taped to the windows to prevent people peering in from the building opposite. I noticed the screened-off area in the corner of the room. A man and a woman stood silently there. I was told later that they were the embalmers. There she was, the woman I knew so well. It looked as though she was sleeping. A white sheet covered her from her neck down to her ankles. I could see her toenails painted in Chanel Rouge Noir, her favourite. Her hair was wet and combed back off her face, and there was a wound in her hairline. I moved closer, supported by Colin and a nurse, as my legs turned to jelly and began to buckle. The enormity of what I was witnessing began to sink in. I started to cry. I couldn't stop the tears. Prince Charles arrived that afternoon with Diana's sisters. He walked up to me and touched the lapel of my jacket. "Are you sure you're all right, old thing?" I managed to hold back the tears and nod. I embraced Lady Jane Fellows and Lady Sarah McCorkindale, a future king, 2 titled ladies, and a butler offering comfort to each other. They went in to see her, and Prince Charles left looking shaken. She was now in an oak coffin. It is sombre to see someone you love in the confines of a coffin. I have never seen Charles look so sad. Later that day, I boarded the Queen's flight BAE 146 with Prince Charles, Colin, Lady Jane and Lady Sarah. I hated the thought of Diana in the hold and how lonely and cold she was. The day of her funeral on September the 6th, 1997 was beautiful. It was time to let her go, time to share her with the rest of the world. I couldn't count how many times I had stood by the front door and waved goodbye, but this was to be the last farewell. At the funeral, with the world watching, Earl Spencer made his speech and rattled the royal family with his accusations. I could not help but think about how he had rejected his sister while she was alive, as he delivered his emotional, carefully crafted eulogy that was packed full of punches. Diana had wanted a bolt hole at her ancestral home of Althorpe and a place to which she could take William and Harry at weekends. She asked to rent the garden house, having originally agreed to it. The Earl later wrote to Renegade Jade on the deal. His letter had driven Diana to despair, as did the follow-up request for her to return the Spencer tiara, which she had worn on her wedding day. This incident led to their relationship reaching an all-time low, but Diana's brother never gave up communicating with her. He constantly told his sister that he loved her, but he was always honest with her as only a brother could be. Later at the graveside at Althorpe, Diana's mother, Frances Shan Kidd, grabbed my hand so tightly it hurt and whispered in my ear, "At least she was mine for 9 months." I always thought it an odd thing to say, particularly at that time. She is isolated in death as in life, buried with no respect. Today, Diana is the ghost that will forever haunt the House of Windsor. Almost 30 years after her tragic death, she still casts a long shadow over the monarchy. Her husband married his mistress, and she became a queen. But her son waits in the wings, and one day the sapphire surrounded by diamonds that the Queen and Charles chose for Lady Diana Spencer in 1981 will finally sit on the finger of a queen. Camilla is not my queen. She never will be. I am waiting for Queen Catherine, and I know Diana will be so proud when her son is finally king. So this is going to go on tomorrow. But I won't be buying the paper tomorrow. I can't help think that it is part of money making. It's obviously going to gain money from it. Well, I think he should give it to charity, because that is what Princess Diana would have done. He should donate the proceedings of that book to charity, or give to the homeless, rather than profiting from somebody that is dead. See you later.